Hi everyone, welcome to today's seminar. This is a self-help seminar today designed simply for increasing range of motion in point, plie, and demi-point for the foot and ankle complex in ballet. My name is Susanne Thom. I'm a physical therapist in Los Angeles, California, and I specialize in dance medicine. And I have with me today my model, Chelsea Cho, who will be demonstrating all the exercises while I talk everyone through them. So the exercises and activities are going to consist of a sequence of exercises that you want to simply follow along with. Don't worry about writing them down or writing down details. We'll do a review of the sequence at the end. What I want everyone to do today is to participate as we go along with Chelsea, going through each step-by-step part of the program to get increased range of motion in plie, point, and demi-point. The first activity we're going to do today is just a test. So everyone's going to stand up without shoes or tights on, come up to the bar or a piece of furniture, and simply do 3 slow plies in first. Assess yourself for your range of motion, restriction, tightness, or any asymmetries in your movement. Okay? We're now going to do 3 tendus, either front or side on each leg, and assess the same thing. See where you feel any stiffness, tightness, restriction, and what's the difference between your right and left foot. Okay. Finally, we're all going to do 3 press overs on our demi point, just finding the end of range of our demi and pressing over to see where we feel restriction, tightness, or asymmetry. Okay, that's just a mental note before we do the exercises so that we can reassess what happened afterwards and hopefully see some changes. With that said, we're going to begin the very first activity by coming down on the floor comfortably. We're going to start with our right foot. So whichever way you want to hold it, you can cross it over your left. Just get comfortable. We're going to be here for a moment. We're going to spread our fingers, and we're going to use our fingers today as toe spreaders. Take your fingers and you're going to interweave them between the web spaces, just as Chelsea's doing, between the web spaces of your toes. Now wiggle your fingers all the way in. Especially don't neglect the 4th and 5th toe. Get your finger in there and press the toes apart. Some of us, this is going to be quite difficult. Some of us, this is no problem. Some areas are going to be tighter than others. Chelsea's now going to press her toes back and forth, and back and forth slowly, and checking for tightness, restriction, tenderness, soreness, anything that feels a little tough. So everyone sit and relax and just work their toes. We're just gently warming up our toes to get some range and some space between the toes and actually between our metatarsals. So while we're all doing that, let's talk about our metatarsals. So we have 5 toes and 5 corresponding metatarsals. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one on the pinky toe is 5. And we know that in ballet specifically, but in all dance, we can have a lot of restriction between the metatarsals. The metatarsals make up part of our forefoot, and part of their function is shock absorption. So when our teacher talks about articulating through our foot, that includes the metatarsals, not just the bones of the arch. So now Chelsea's going to turn her attention to her arch. She's going to continue holding her toe spreaders, and she's going to add her other hand and start to ring her arch and toes in the opposite direction. What we're doing now is articulating our forefoot with our midfoot, so everyone can see, just like wringing a towel. That's it. So do that gently, slowly, and just feel for discomfort, restriction, tightness, and see if you can work a little bit of it out. This is fairly safe. You're not in any danger. Just go to your own end and see if you can get a little bit more rotation going there. Good. Well done. Now very slowly release that foot. Try and spread your toes out now and place them down on the ground for a moment. Just feel if you got a little bit of space, and we will move on now to the left foot. Same treatment to the left foot. We're going to open our fingers, spread them all the way in. All the web spaces all the way in, as tight as you can. And again, this might be completely different from the other foot. get your pinky toe nice and open, and up and down, searching for spots of tightness, restriction, discomfort. Keep pushing and trying to get a little bit more range, let the toes warm up. Again, this is especially important if you've been in white shoes, but it's important for dancers who are not on point, and for our male dancers, it's equally important. Range of motion and articulating through our metatarsals and our forefoot is really key in the prevention of stress fractures, okay? There's a direct correlation between metatarsal stiffness and the incidence of stress fracture. So we want to avoid those fractures in dancers. So one of the most common fractures we have in the second metatarsal and in the fifth. So this is part of the reason we do this. It's also going to relieve some tension in the small, tiny muscles between our metatarsals. Now, moving on from there, we are going to move our arch. Again, Chelsea's going to wring out her arch in her toes, much like wringing out a cloth. Back and forth, feel the restriction, move up into it. Some discomfort is okay. Just take some notes here as to what feels tender, tight, restricted. Work it out. A few more rings. Keep moving those toes, everyone. And again, just take a note. What's worse, your right or your left? And if so, which toes? So while Chelsea's finishing that, I'll just show you. We have, of course, some of you may already use these commercial toe spreaders. Okay, I like these. I don't have a problem with them. There's multiple different kinds on the market. But I do think that while these are a nice passive TV watching activity at the end of the day, there's a lot to be said for physically manipulating each of our toes. So these are okay at the end of the day. I would not walk around in these. I would just use them to watch TV or relax or study in. And you can build up from 15 minutes every night to about 45 to an hour, okay? But again, if you use these, just be careful that you're not feeling any pain, especially in the between the first and second toe. I don't know if you want to keep that part, Chelsea. We can take that out. It's not that crucial. Okay, so we've mobilized both of our forefeet now with our finger toe spreaders. And now we're going to move on to our scraping. This part of the lecture is probably something that most of us aren't familiar with. So we're going to go kind of slow and meticulous. All of us should have obtained one of these implements. This is called an instrument-assisted soft tissue massage technique. That's what we're going to be doing now. This instrument has three distinct areas. We have a small C here for toes and the back of the toe and the Achilles tendon. A wide C for most parts of our foot and ankle where it's going to fit nicely along the contour. And then we have what we call the backbone or the blade, which we use for larger areas of tissue like the back of the calf or the bottom of the foot. Again, we're going to start at our toes. Chelsea's going to bring her right foot to camera with a little bit of neutral lotion. So if everyone has a small amount, very small amount of a non-greasy lotion, let's rub it a little bit over the front of our foot, the back of our foot, up the calf, and the shin, including our Achilles. Not oil, just a little bit of neutral lotion. We're going to take the small C first, everyone, okay? You can hold the implement with one hand, like a potato peeler, two hands to scrape, any way you want, whichever you desire, whichever grip is most mechanically suitable for the area, okay? So with that said, we're going to take the small C. We are going to place it under the big toe. You can put it between the first and second toe like Chelsea did. And then we're just going to scrape small scrapes up. So we're in a small space behind the big toe that can get very tight. That space contains several things. A capsule, some fascia, but most importantly, two of the major tendons running through the toe that point our big toe. And a lot of us experience a lot of tightness there. So she's doing a short stroke, up, up, up. We always want to stroke in one direction. We're not scraping up, down, up, down. That's traumatizing to the tissue, one direction. But you can go fairly firmly here. This tissue is pretty resilient and you're not in any danger. Again, work out mechanically what suits you. And we're going to finish up that big toe. And now we're going to move on and we're actually going to place the implement between our toes. So Chelsea's going to place it between her first and second, and you're going to rock side to side in a narrow U shape, working the fascia in between. So the rest of you can sit in a figure 4 or relaxed position. Chelsea's simply demonstrating that position, and she's working in between the web space to loosen that tissue. This is fascia. Then moving along the line between the second and third toe. Good. Everyone keep going in a small U and just feel restriction, discomfort. Any sensations that come up, this is just going to ease up some tension in the forefoot and get some space between the metatarsals. Moving along now between the third and fourth. Take some mental notes of where it feels the worst. Just loosening up the tissue gently, nothing aggressive. And finally, we want to go to our fourth and fifth. And don't neglect our little pinky toe at the end there. He is in charge of the fifth metatarsal. Again, very important because that is one of the major areas that we experience fractures. So we want to pay special attention to the outside of our foot for some of us. There we go. We're going to now move to the left foot, and we're going to do likewise. We are doing our back of our big toe. The small space between the pad and the toe, there's a little joint in there, and we are going to scoop, 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 and scrape in an upwards direction only with, again, the small C. Just as Chelsea's doing there, she's going to take a comfortable position and scrape the back of her big toe. There you go. Well done. Everyone do that. And finishing up, we're again going to go between the toes into the web space. So we're taking the small C and we're placing it, and we're just going to run it up and down in a U shape. Separating the toes and the fascia. Nice and easy. Just feeling for restriction, any discomfort. Good. And now we're going to move along the line between the second and third. Up and down in a small U. We're using the small C that fits in there nicely. And we're just opening up our forefoot. Good. And now between our third and fourth. Chelsea's moving right along there, so you should be comfortable. The legs should be relaxed. Everyone try to work along at this pace if that's comfortable. And again, we're moving next down the line to our fourth and fifth. And again, take a mental note. Does this feel different than the other side? Is it easier, more tender? And see if you can figure out why. A little bit of restrictions. We've just opened up our toes now, given them a little bit of space. And we're mostly working on what we call fascia, the thick connective tissue that is the collagenous tissue that runs through all of our tissues, makes all the compartments for muscles, runs directly under the skin, but is one of the principal things we have to loosen up in order to get range of motion. So finishing there, Chelsea's now going to turn her attention. So Chelsea, if you would, we're going to take the small C, and we are actually going to run over just the side of the big toe, okay? So some people may have a sort of bunion. So Chelsea's going to go right over the big toe from the base of the metatarsal head, just over that big knuckle joint on the side, scooping up, 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 just like that. Short strokes, fairly firm. If you have a tender bunion or an inflamed area there and it's too tender, just pass on this. Otherwise, this is a nice way to gain motion in our demi point. We've got a capsule there around that big joint, and we're trying to loosen up that capsule. A good 10 scrapes, one direction only. We shall do the same thing now on the left foot. So we've now covered most of our forefoot, right? We've dealt with the back of the toe, the side of the toe, and the web spaces. Chelsea's just going to do the same thing, 10 nice strong strokes. Again, if you have a bunion or a bursal sac that's inflamed here, be very cautious and you might want to pass on that. Well done, good. We're going to turn our attention now to the inside of the arch, okay? We're going to take the big C. We're going to put the contour of the big C against the inside arch, and we're going to run from the back of the heel, yes, all the way along the inside arch, right over the toe. The entire arch, that's it. From the heel up to the toe. Long strokes, one direction, fairly firm. And again, Chelsea's demonstrating how we do that, keeping the contour of the blade along the inside of the arch and running long strokes. You should feel quite a bit of tightness, maybe some crunchies. It can feel like a little snap crackle, some sand, gritty. These are all normal myofascial sensations, okay? A good 10 strokes. And that's the inside of our longitudinal arch. Now we're going to turn our attention to the outside of the longitudinal arch. Exactly the same, from the heel, all the way like Chelsea's demonstrating, to the base of the toe, all the way up, full length. 10 nice long strokes. Everyone follow along, see what you find there. So what we're looking for is restriction, discomfort, crunchies, grittiness, all completely normal. Good. 10 nice strokes. You can grip it with 2 hands, 1 hand, whichever gives you more ability to get to the tissue. So whatever you mechanically prefer. The third part of the fascia now that we treat separately is the middle. You can either use the big C, or I prefer for most of us the back of the blade. You are traveling from the back of the heel, just like Chelsea's doing with 2 hands, and swipe straight up pretty firmly. Good, just like Chelsea's showing you there. The entire length of the plantar fascia. A quick note about the plantar fascia is that it's interesting that most people seem to think it's one band. You've often seen pictures going from the heel up to the toes of this white gristly tissue. It is in fact 3 distinct bands, just like we treated it. The inside band, the outside band, and the middle, which is the most dense part. So pay that quite a bit of attention. Good, well done. And now let's take our attention to our left foot. We're going to start in exactly the same way. We're going to do the inside with the big C, okay? From the heel all the way up, that's right. Just like Chelsea's showing, and get in a nice comfortable position for 10 long strokes. Most of us are going to find a 2-handed grip is going to work best here. Well done. Nice long strokes again. Very dense and thick fascia that provides part of the shape and the spring, the push-off of our foot. It's very, very tight in ballet and very sore and tired. So we're working out some of the kinks here so we can get some nice range of motion and shaping in our arch when we press. Chelsea's going to do that with 2 hands. And then we're then going to turn our attention to the outside of the arch. So again, we should be in special attention to the outside, our pinky toe, 4th and 5th metatarsal, long strokes from the heel, all the way up. While Chelsea's doing that, I can explain that it's not really important whether you're using the inside or the outside part of the C. It just matters that you contour the tissue. So you're in contact in a contour. So don't obsess too much about the exact way you hold it. Just get the contour on the tissue. 10 nice long strokes, all the way up that pinky side, very often neglected. Good. And slowly coming to a finish there, we're going to then turn our attention to the middle of the fascia, using the back of the blade, long strokes, from the heel all the way up to the metatarsals, right off there. Long sweeps, all the way up, that's it. And for most of you, a 2-handed approach is going to be the best way. This is very thick, dense tissue, very, very tight, and needs quite a bit of attention. So at least 10 strokes. So while we're doing that, everyone's working along. People often ask, how much is too much? How long should I do this? Generally, for the purposes of this class, I would say 10 strokes to each area. We can in fact do something between 30 seconds up to 2 minutes. However, I wouldn't do that if you're not A, particularly familiar with this technique, and B, it's your first or second time doing it. Once you get comfortable with the implement, you can increase a little bit of the activity, but 10 to 12 strokes is plenty on most areas. From here, we're going to carry on back to the right leg, and we're going to address the front of the ankle, okay, which will affect our point, the front of the calf, affecting our point. Then we're going to do the inside, outside, and back of the calf. So Chelsea's going to apply some lotion, and we're going to turn our attention to the right front of the ankle joint, okay? There we are. And she's going to move in an upward stroke with the big C, an upward stroke, just like that, coming from the middle of the arch, about 2 to 3 inches, scraping just the ankle, not on too far onto the shin bone, just like that. 2 hands, and we're sweeping, sweeping, Sweeping up to the arch. Again, not unusual to find crunchies or grittiness or crackles. They're two very, very thick bands of ligament that run across our ankle here if we look at a picture. And these get very stressed out when we're using so much elevate and releve. And of course in point work. You're going to stay off the two big bumps that sit on the inside and outside of the bone, obviously, and just move only between those. That's right. We don't want to put pressure on any bony prominence or any area that's sensitive with a nerve underneath. There we go. Good. From there, we're now going to draw our attention to the front of the shin on the outside of our shin bone. Chelsea's going to trace the front of her shin bone with her finger. It's very obvious to all. You can feel that bone stay off the bone. We're going up the muscle on the outside with the big C, or if some of you prefer, the back of the blade. The big C would usually fit this area perfectly. So nice long strokes. At the top of the stroke, there's a bump called the head of the fibula, that in some of us is very prominent. Some of us we can't feel. Stay away from that bump. So nice long strokes from the bump on the outside of the ankle to the bump at the top. About 10 long sweeps. This will help shin splints, prevention of shin splints, prevention of stress fractures, and help our range of point. This muscle can get very, very tight in grip. We want to loosen that up to improve our range of point. Good. And now moving right along to the outside of the calf. Chelsea's going to demonstrate that. We're going from the bottom at the bump, just above the bump, straight up the outside of the calf, not over the outside bump again. So Chelsea's going to demonstrate long sweeps with a big C. And try to imagine when you do this to yourself that in effect, when we were done, we would have, if there were paint on the implement, we would have painted our entire calf except for the bony prominences. That's a good way to think of it. The whole bottom of our foot should be painted, the ankle and all the muscles of the calf are now being painted. Chelsea's now going to continue to work around the back of the calf. And she's just going to stay right there and yes, with two hands, draw up, up, up. We are not doing our Achilles yet. You can see Chelsea's about 3 inches above her Achilles from her heel bone. You can see that she's starting where the muscle naturally starts, not the tendon, just the muscle, and drawing long sweeps close to, but not through the crease of the knee in a relaxed bent knee position. Tissues that is slackened or loose is going to be more amenable right now to working. Later on, we can actually do different things in different positions, but for this lecture, we're going to just work with a nice slack tissue. Good. And now we're going to continue working through to the middle, we're going to continue moving on to the inside of the calf, right as we're indicating there. Chelsea's indicating these muscles and tendons go through the arch of our foot and to our toes. These are the ones that point our foot and control our toes and need special attention. Again, we're staying off the shin bone. We're staying off any bumps or bony prominences. Nice long sweeps with both hands. Should actually feel tenderish, but slightly good. And the leg, as you can see, is relaxed. There's no tension there, we're just relaxed. Now you can grade how firm you want to go as your confidence in your ability to use the instrument increases. Good. Finishing up there with our last few strokes. Everyone finish up on that leg. And we're going to turn our attention to our left ankle again. We're starting at the front of the ankle, not on the shin bone. Short swipes from the top of the arch with the big C. Up, 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 swiping over there to help increase our range of point. Obviously staying off the two bones on the outside. Chelsea's running up that ankle, and again, not at all unusual to feel crunchies or sandy sensations. Good. Everyone's doing the same thing. Here we are on the front of the ankle joint, addressing some tissue there. And now moving on in a relaxed position, Chelsea's going to continue that stroke right up the front of her shin bone on the outside, staying off the bone. Long swipes from the top of the outside bump, up the shin on the outside. Again, somewhere where a lot of us may have had shin splints, tension. This will help our range of point. Now we're holding the blade with two hands and we're using approximately a 45-degree angle. And we're just doing long swipes in a relaxed position. And now turning our attention to the side of the calf. Moving our way around, Chelsea's going to show that there. And we're going to avoid the bony prominences and long swipes. Two hands again is the best way to probably address this. But whatever grip feels mechanically easy for you, that you don't hurt your back or struggle to get the contour of the blade on the muscle itself. There we go. Long swipes. Good. And now we're going to move along to the back of the calf. A couple of inches up the calf, avoiding your Achilles right now. We're not on our Achilles yet. We're just doing where the Achilles becomes the muscle. And you can see where Chelsea started there. Not on the tendon yet. We're going to finish with the tendon. Long strokes up the calf, back of the blade or the big C, up to but not into the crease of the knee. You can vary the firmness, experiment a little bit. Redness and pinkness is normal. We don't want to bruise the calf. We don't want to bruise any area, not because it's dangerous, but simply because it means we won't be able to address it for a few days. Good. And now we're going to turn our attention to the inside. Again, these are the muscles and tendons that run through the arch and control all of our toes, control our point. They can get very, very tight. There's a tendonitis that some of you may have had called dancer's tendonitis. It's a flexor hallucis longus tendonitis. Very unpleasant. And this can help with that, can help work that out or prevent it. Very tough area to stretch. So we're really getting in there and we're running long sweeps, just like that. And finally, we're going to come to our Achilles. We will go back to the right foot. Chelsea's going to turn with her right foot to camera. Her foot is relaxed, her leg is relaxed. This is the position we want to take up. We're going to take the small C. We're going to place the small C in the back of the heel, right at your mat, at the base of your heel. You're running over your heel and up your Achilles tendon. About 3-inch swipes, just as Chelsea's doing. From the base of the heel, up the Achilles, with short 3-inch swipes. It's not unusual for this to be uncomfortable. Apply enough pressure that it's comfortably uncomfortable. No pain, short swipes, little crunchy crunchies, and we're just trying to get some blood and mobilize the tissue around the Achilles tendon here. From the heel, all the way up. There we go. A few more. And we are now going to demonstrate the left. So we're going to move our attention now. Chelsea's going to demonstrate that again. The small C. You're going to come from the heel bone, over the heel and up the Achilles. Over the heel, up the Achilles. Two hands. Good. There we go. A few more swipes. And your Achilles is relaxed. We're not loading it in any way. This is perfectly safe. A little bit of discomfort is normal. Some grittiness, some crunchies also. And see which one feels more sensitive to you. Good. And a couple more swipes for those of you that need to catch up. There we go. And we're going to come on up now to stand. So, coming up to stand, we're now going to take either a lacrosse ball if you have it, a tennis ball if you prefer. So those of you that are more mature and have been dancing longer can probably tolerate a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball. If that's too hard, you can use a smaller, softer pinky ball, such as this. And if that's too big and hard, there's actually a small tennis ball that we use as a dog's pet toy. But for the average person, a tennis or lacrosse ball is going to work perfectly. So most of you have done some version of this. I'm going to be very specific about how we do this and what order we do this in. So with our right foot, Chelsea's going to place that tennis ball under the arch of her right foot. stepping on it. That's all we're doing right now, is standing on the ball. So we're going to stand on the ball and press down. So we're holding a steady pressure down through the ball with our arch. And what we're doing here is first approaching the fascia that we just dealt with our tool, right? We're not into the muscle yet. We want to get through the fascia with a standing, stationary trigger point release. Steady pressure. Now breathe into it. As you feel discomfort and resistance, breathe into it. Don't fight it. Try to relax your foot over the contour of the ball. That's all we're doing right now, is just standing and slowly applying pressure. Good. Keep applying a little more pressure as the time ticks on. And my suggestion for most of us is at least 1 full minute, preferably 2. So Chelsea's slowly applying gently more pressure as she tolerates it. And you can just watch the clock, or you can listen to music, whichever you prefer. Slowly increasing the pressure. It should be pretty intense, right in the middle of our arch. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, good. 4, a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. Now we're just going to pick our foot up and roll. Now we are rolling the whole arch longitudinally. What does that mean? From the heel to the metatarsals. So a pretty strong pressure for rolling. Again, think of your longitudinal arch from your heel to your toes as having 3 distinct areas. We want to roll first the inside with steady pressure to be quite uncomfortable. So along the line of the big toe and the second toe, pay particular attention first there. Let's all do that together. Long, steady strokes. Good. At least 10. You should definitely find some discomfort, some tightness, some restrictions in there. Try and work it out. Apply as much pressure as you can comfortably. And then we draw our attention to the middle of the arch as a distinct area on its own, and we roll the middle of the arch. This is the most dense band of our plantar fascia, and we're going to roll 10 long, strong strokes. There we go, up and back, 10 times at least, feeling for areas of discomfort or resistance. And now we're going to take our attention to the outside, along the pinky toe. Don't neglect the outside of the longitudinal arch. This is our area where, again, we can get in trouble with articulating through our foot if we have tight metatarsals. We're getting our fascia, the outside of the plantar fascia, to just get some blood, soften up, and allow us to have some range there. So everyone should have covered the entire bottom of the foot by now. Let's finish up with a few more rolls. And Chelsea's now going to face camera, placing that tennis ball under her metatarsal heads. So to be clear, the metatarsal heads are the pads of the foot on the bottom of the foot, 1 through 5. She's going to place the ball right on those. Her heel stays down. She's going to make a wave-like motion by pivoting off her heel and moving sideways across the ball, like a wave or a fan. The ball is traveling from inside to outside while her heel just pivots. And what we're doing is pressing through our transverse arch to again get space between our metatarsals, and our metatarsal heads can be quite uncomfortable. While Chelsea's doing that back and forth, everyone work back and forth on your metatarsal heads. For those of you that have a history of sesamoiditis or a sesamoid fracture, move back. Don't move over the head of your first metatarsal if you've had a recent fracture to your sesamoid or a recent bout of sesamoiditis. Otherwise, everyone keep going for a few more rock and rolls on a pivot. And now we're going to move the ball slightly back, just behind the metatarsals, and do the exact same thing. We're opening our metatarsals here. This should be quite uncomfortable. And we're just waving back and forth, waving with a nice, steady pressure. Back and forth. Everyone try and work through there and see what you find. See if you can identify areas that are particularly uncomfortable and work those out a little bit. Couple more waves back and forth, all the way over, side to side. Everyone try to catch up here and come to rest. And the same treatment to the left foot, starting first with the pressure down. So middle of the arch, steady pressure down. Hold the position and just start to apply small increments of pressure. Just relax the rest of your body and try and place the pressure down through the arch. Breathe into it, and with each breath, try to apply a little more pressure. That's it. A little bit more. Again, a minimum of a minute. I would prefer 2 minutes, especially for a mature foot. For dancers that are dancing a lot or a little bit older, you can definitely stand 2 minutes. Again, why do we do this as well as the rolling? We're trying to release the fascia before we begin rolling it. And while it seems time consuming, you'll definitely get a lot more out of this treatment if you spend the first moment standing on the ball. So a few more seconds there, try and apply a little more pressure as we go, pressing down and breathing into that intense sensation, and release and begin rolling. The full length of the arch. And again, just as we did with our right foot, we're going to cover the inside of the arch, the middle of the arch, and ultimately the outside of the arch. So 10 long strokes is your minimum. And as with everything we've been doing today, if you have an area of specific difficulty or restriction, obviously that's where you would spend more time. These are minimum amounts of time. You can go longer. There we go. Long the arch. Now people always ask me, should I do this before ballet, after ballet, between class? There's no distinct answer. You definitely want to roll your feet and pay attention to your feet before class. You definitely want to, if you come out of point shoes, roll your feet if you can after. These self-care techniques I find are a mixture. What I suggest is you do them as needed. If we need to open up your ankle, then we do some of the mobilizations before class. If you need to relieve soreness and tightness in the foot between classes, go ahead and roll. But at night, pay a lot of attention to the feet for recovery and recuperation so that we minimize cramping, soreness, tightness, and injury. Good, Chelsea, well done. And now we are turning our attention to the transverse arch where we drop the heel down and we're going to pivot our foot side to side under the metatarsal heads, trapping the ball from the outside to the inside and back. Back and forth, make a full range of motion, steady pressure, and that should be quite uncomfortable. There we go. Again, reiterating that those of you that have had perhaps a sesamoid fracture or a bad bout of sesamoiditis, stay off the head of your first metatarsal. It may be too irritating. Good. Back and forth, pivoting off the heel, moving the arch across the front. And again, pay attention. Is this worse on one side than the other? And now we're going to step the ball back a slight bit, find the metatarsals with the heel down, and repeat the exact same motion. Back and forth, and back and forth. Good. Easily, with steady pressure, full range of motion coming out to the pinky side for about 10 to 15 swipes till you feel you've eased up some of that tension. Okay, and from there, let's take the ball to the side. Everyone stay standing, and now just see if you can spread your foot on the ground. Feel if you feel any more freeness, wiggle your toes, feel how your arches feel. And we're going to move on to the next portion of the exercises, which is a self-mobilization. So for this, we're all going to need a TheraBand. We're going to grab our TheraBand. And the function of our band today is simply friction control. We are not using it for resistance, so it doesn't matter what color or how long it is or how strong it is. Chelsea's going to show you how to wrap it around your ankle joint, including the bones of the ankle, just around it so that we have something to create some friction. Tuck in the end, and we're going to do the first of two mobilizations. This one is called a twist and lunge. So the grip, you're going to grip both the tibia and fibula, the shin bones at the ankle with a basket grip, fingers in front, thumbs behind, and you're going to take up a lunge position. We're going to do our right foot first. So Chelsea's in profile. What she's going to do is 2 points. She is going to lunge forward with her knee going over her second and third toe, making sure it tracks over your toes, not inside or outside, while she's going to twist those bones to the outside. You're not going to get a lot of rotation, but imagine at the end of the lunge, there's a twist. So here we go. We're going to lunge and twist. Good. Lunge and twist. Good. She's going to lunge, driving over the toes. Heel stays down while we twist to the outside. Lunge and twist without distorting the lunge. Chelsea's going to demonstrate that a few more times. A good lunge, pressure forward. And the object of the exercise is to drive that knee over your toes without pulling your heel up, getting a big stretch, while we rotate to the outside. Don't worry so much about the feeling of the rotation. Act as if there's a rotation taking place. You're not going to feel something distinct. It can be a little awkward. Chelsea's doing that perfectly. So just stay with it and see if you can figure out the grip. There we go. 4 more. Good. You can see how far she's lunging. Her heel stays down, but she's driving over her toes. Just do 1 more if you would, Chelsea. There we go. And now we're going to repeat that, lunging, but twisting to the inside. Same grip, same exact procedure, but a twist to the inside. That's it. To the inside, we're lunging and twist. Drive the knee over your second and third toe. There we go. Put as much pressure as you feel you can over that lunge. The emphasis is on the lunge. The twist is secondary. There we go. A few more just like that. Everyone take up the position and the mechanics that you need to, depending on how flexible you are and how comfortable you are. Any variation of the back leg, however you want to do it, lunge and twist. 1 more, Chelsea, if you would, and release. Now, Chelsea's going to do the second part of this mobilization, which we call a rock back. You're going to take up a position either in plank or elbow plank. And it's kind of a cross between a plank and a down dog. The aim of the game is that Chelsea's going to get herself in such a position that when she rocks back, she's going to place her other leg over her right leg to get more pressure. She's going to rock forward onto her big toe for a stretch and then rock back slightly abruptly, pushing her heel to the ground for a stretch. So it's a rock back with a little abrupt push through the heel. So we can see there is Chelsea rocking back into the heel, quite steady, strong pressure, and rock back. You're going to roll forward, rock back, fairly abruptly. And we're going to finish that motion with some bounces. So now she's there, she's going to use the other leg and she's going to bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bounce. 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like that. And she's going to come on up and switch that band to the opposite side. Wrapping just as she did, all the way around the ankle. This is simply for friction. There's no other purpose to the TheraBand here. So that hands don't slip. A basket weave grip, she's going to get in position. So fingers are interlaced around. Now the key to this is the lunge, okay? She's going to lunge over her front foot, then twist to the outside at the end of the lunge. The timing is there. Lunge all the way in and twist. That's it. So we don't want to just start our lunge, remember everyone. The knee drives over the second and third toe as the twist happens at the end. A bit of a strange position, so just practice this on your own. Your back leg can occupy whatever space you prefer, as long as you can get your weight over your forward leg. Keep your heel down, twisting, do 2 more. And now we're going to lunge and twist inside. Here we go. We've switched direction, just the same lunge, inside. And driving the knee forward. Everyone take up the position that's most comfortable for that back leg. If you need a pillow, use a pillow. But driving the knee forward, no distortion of your lunge. The heel stays down. You should feel a nice pressure there. Let's all do 1 or 2 more to catch up. There we go. And take up our plank or elbow plank for a rock back. Again, this is using your body weight and the weight of the other leg to press down into that straight left leg, dropping the heel back, kind of abruptly, up and back, and up, and all the way back, little rock backs. To the end of the range, 6 to 8 nice rock backs. There we go, you can see Chelsea doing that perfectly. Everybody get in position, that's it. Keep the leg straight, the left leg is straight, the working leg, and drive through your heel, get some pressure. And now when you're ready, try some little bounces. So a little bit up, a little bit down. Just bouncing our body weight into that heel, driving the heel back 5 to 8 times or so. And good. Everyone catch up. Come up to stand. We'll remove our TheraBands. And the moment of truth now is our retest. So we're going to come back up to the bar or your chair and try again 3 little pliés and see if we gained anything there. There we go. Wow, nice. Good, Chelsea. Everyone do your pliés. You should definitely feel a little bit relief of your resistance, a deeper plié. About 3 or 4, and then let's try a tendu and see what we've got there. Good. Well done. Everybody try their tendus. So to be clear, these are only some of the activities, exercises, and self-care that we can do for our point, plie, and demi. They're certainly not everything, but everything that's been in this seminar would be helpful to most people. So we're going to run through verbally what we just did. We started with our finger toe spreaders, and we moved back and forth, and then twisted our arch. That's number 1, both feet. Then we took our scraping toe, and in this order we did with the little C, the back of the toe, the side of the big toe, and between the toes. We did the big C. We did the inside of the arch, the outside of the arch, the bottom of the arch with the blade or the big C. We then came to the front of the foot, and we did with the big C, front of the ankle joint. Then we moved up to the outside of the shin. Then we moved along to the side of the calf, and then moving along the back of the calf, not including the Achilles, then the inside of the calf, and we finished on our Achilles with the small C. From the heel up the Achilles. Most of these strokes are 8 to 10. At the most, probably 12. Both legs, all of the strokes. Then we went on to our ball. Tennis ball or lacrosse ball, and we did first standing down only, pressure going down, standing on the ball in the middle of the arch. A good 1 to 2 minutes of breathing trigger point release. Then we rolled along the arch, the inside, the middle, the outside, a minimum of 10 strokes each, or preferably 2 minutes on the clock. Then we put our heel down and we put that ball underneath the metatarsal heads, and we pivoted off our heel in a wave motion, creating space for our transverse arch and our metatarsals. Then we moved behind the metatarsal heads and repeated our wave, both legs. From there, we went on to our mobilizations. Chelsea took the TheraBand, we put it around our ankle, we did our lunge and twist. First lunging and twisting to the outside, 5 to 8 times, lunging, twisting to the inside, 5 to 8 times, and finishing with our plank rock backs, back and forth, and our little amplitude bounces at the end, both legs, and we retest our plie, our tendu, and our demi-point range to see if we've in fact increased our range of motion, our ease of motion, and the way that it feels to move through our foot. So that's the end of today's foot and ankle seminar. I hope you enjoyed it and find it useful. We're going to have 2 more seminars, one on the spine and rib cage to improve port de bras and cambrai, and one on the hip and pelvis. And I am also reachable by email if you have specific concerns or questions.